Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm really excited to be sitting down virtually with master healer Megan Edge here from Victoria, and we will be talking about essential oils. Now, in terms of essential oils, Megan is a vast source of knowledge, so I'm really excited that we have the opportunity to be talking to her about what essential oils are, a bit with the backstory about it and how beneficial they can be, especially in terms of immune health. So Megan is going to join us now. Hi.
Hi, Max.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. This is my first time on IG Live, so it took us a little while to figure out what we were doing, but we're here, so
Yeah,
yay.
absolutely. I'm so excited. I was just saying as you were connecting that this is going to be such an informative session because you are such a beautiful source of knowledge when it comes to essential oils.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be talking a little bit about the history of it, of essential oils, and then we get into quality essential oils and also the difference between what is a good oil and what is maybe just a purely mass-produced one, and then also some of the amazing benefits that we can receive from essential oils.
Absolutely. I love all those topics. They're my favorite.
I'm happy to hear that.
I just realized I still have my hamster behind me. Is
Oh,
that okay?
oh, absolutely.
Oh, wait.
Say goodbye.
Bye, bye, Sid. Not actually my hamster, he's my younger daughter's hamster. Okie dokie.
Now, in terms of essential oils, is it best to just talk a little bit about the history of them, or how do you usually like to start these sessions out?
Well, I think it is important to talk about the history of them so people have an understanding of just how long we have been using essential oils as plant medicine, as something to boost our immune system, to keep us healthy and well, to ward off bad smells, and just generally because they're so amazing. I
Hmm.
think it's important for people to realize that essential oils are not new,
Yeah,
that as a species, we've been using oils and plant medicine forever. I mean, ever since, well, forever, I would think.
yeah.
um, the earliest evidence we have of a distillery was found somewhere in the Middle East, and it's been dated to 3500 BC,
Oh,
so
wow.
almost 6,000 years ago. But considering how long human beings have been on the planet in organized culture and in evolution and evolving, I would say that we've been using plant medicine and had learned how to get the essential oils out of plants much, much earlier than that. We just haven't found the hard evidence for it, but intuitively it makes sense that we've known how to do this for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And essential oils are found across cultures. Every culture that has ever explored plant medicine, which is every culture, has found ways of extracting constituents and elements out of plants and then ingesting them or using them topically or through inhalation in order to create good health for people and for themselves. The thing that's interesting about essential oils is that up until very recently, like literally up until the modern essential oils movement that was essentially started by Gary Young, um, essential oils were not something that you and I would have had unless we were royalty. If we were the kings and queens, if we were the rulers, if we were the spiritual leaders, we would have had access to essential oils and those precious resins like frankincense and myrrh.
Mm.
But for the general public, plant medicine, yes, was available, but the science and technology around creating essential oils were well kept secrets. And that made those oils very precious, worth their weight in gold, and only used by royalty. It's no coincidence that the oils that were given to the baby Jesus on his birth, according to Christian mythology,
Yeah.
were frankincense and myrrh. You know, those two oils in particular have incredible immune boosting constituents, and babies that would have been given oils of frankincense and myrrh would have had a better chance of surviving early childhood than babies that didn't get those kinds of oils.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point that you're raising, because for me personally, I've heard the baby Jesus story so many times, and of course they always mention frankincense and myrrh, but it's really nothing that you put a lot of attention to or that you think about a lot until you actually start to realize the power of essential oils and plant medicine in general, and then you actually start to listen in deeper, and you actually start to realize, wow, there must have been a purpose why they actually brought these two out of this infinite universe of what plant medicine can offer us.
That's right. And actually it's quite interesting in the Bible itself, there are numerous references made to sacred herbs and plants, including plants like hyssop and lavender and chamomile that were used medicinally, both as a pure plant medicine and also as an essential oil. So this is knowledge that has been around in our culture for a very long time, and not just in the Bible, in other sacred texts, medical texts, and religious texts that we find from around the world, dating back as far as we started writing. This information has been made available. And when you think about it, the modern pharmaceutical movement and industry is based entirely on plant medicine and mineral medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the source. That's where the synthetics have come from, have been derived from, and created in a mass way so many people can benefit from them. It all comes back to what are the plants that historically have given us medicine, and how can we extract that medicine and make it available to the general public so that ideally we can all be in a state of good health.
Yeah.
Issues arise when we start working with synthetic medicines on a regular basis. Not only do we build up tolerances to them in our bodies, which we don't necessarily to essential oils, but also they're synthetic. They don't have an intelligence. And I know that sounds a bit woo-hooey, but bear with me for a moment. Essential oils are considered live medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the oil is extracted from the plant, it still has vitality. It's still essential.
Yeah.
Whereas a synthetic medicine, it doesn't. It's inert. So the synthetic medicines still have an impact on our body and our system and can still be really good for us. I'm not in any way bashing the kinds of medicines that we have on our pharmacy shelves and that we use every day. It's just to say that in addition to using the medicines that we're familiar with, we could add essential oils to our daily regime and our health routines in order to give us even more of a health boost so that we need those medicines less often.
Yeah. And what popped into my head when you mentioned that was, on an energetic level, when we look at essential oils compared to anything that's synthetic, the substances that are synthetic, they have been processed so much that they have actually lost a lot of their energetic potential. Meaning, the more we as human beings try to intervene with a substance and try to alter it through various processes, we actually take a lot of the energy out. And it is the energy too with the essential oils that can really bring about these incredible benefits. And in a way, then I look at essential oils as a veggie-based or fruit-based diet where you don't try to alter too much about the constituents at hand. And the synthetics that we're using in pharmaceuticals, for instance, they remind me more of processed foods.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And we all know how not great for our bodies processed foods are.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting that you bring up processed foods, because I have a fun fact that I can't wait to share with you. When we talk about the history of essential oils, it's important to remember that this is not just in the past, that we have been incorporating essential oils in our modern lives for over 100 years, 150, even 200 years. We use essential oils in our food, in our beverages, in our cosmetics and body products, shampoos, things like that, mouthwash, toothpaste, gum. and we use it in our foods. Did I say foods?
Hmm.
Basically, the three major users and consumers of essential oils right now is the food and beverage industry, the body care industry, and the food industry. So we've actually been ingesting and applying essential oils our whole lives. And
Hmm.
a lot of people aren't aware of that. When they think of the peppermint toothpaste that they're using, they may not realize that the reason it's peppermint is because there's peppermint essential oil in the toothpaste. Coca-Cola. Here's my fun fact. Coke, not a drink that I enjoy. I've never really had it much, but I know there's a few people on the planet that really do enjoy it.
Yeah, a few.
Some of the main ingredients in Coca-Cola, this is according to Wikipedia, include orange oil, cinnamon oil, lemon oil, coriander, nutmeg, lavender, and neroli in the original recipes. Now, I'm sure that today neroli would not be used, at least not a natural pure neroli, because it's one of the most expensive essential oils because of how it's produced and what it takes to produce it. So a synthetic is probably used. In fact, I would suggest for most of these oils now, synthetics are used, or very low grade essential oils are used to create this recipe. So please don't run out and drink a lot of Coke and think it's going to be good for you because it has essential
Yeah.
oils in it. But the fact of the matter is, for any naysayer out there who's going to put down essential oils and say it's all just some kind of hippie thing, if they've had a Coke, they've had essential oils. If they've brushed their teeth, they've had essential oils. If they've washed their hair, they've had essential oils.
Yeah.
But this gets us into the conversation of what is the difference between a very low quality adulterated essential oil and a pure medical grade essential oil.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me of something months ago when we met and you showed me your beautiful collection of essential oils. One thing that really stuck with me was when you said technically all essential oils, or almost all essential oils, are digestible. We should be able to ingest them. But then I remembered on most of the bottles of essential oil you can buy at the supermarket or like a beauty store, it usually says big as a warning label, do not ingest. And for the longest time, I was always wondering, why is that so? And then you raised such a good point by saying that technically, because it is something that's derived from nature, therefore it should be more than possible for us to ingest and not feel sick or get sick. And that was really an eye-opening moment, because then I started to realize that there is such a big difference between different types of oil producers.
That's right. And there are no essential oils police. There is no one monitoring how essential oils are made, what sort of other things are being put into essential oils like solvents and alcohol and other extenders, or the quality of the oil itself, or how many times it's been distilled. So all of these factors have an impact as to the purity of an oil. And quite frankly, any oil that you buy that is not from a reputable supplier, where you know for certain that from soil to seed to seal, that oil has not been adulterated and has been treated with the utmost respect and care, you should not ingest it.
Mm-hmm.
You should not. There's a reason it says do not ingest on the bottle, because it has other things in it that are really not good for you. And then, that brings up the point, well, if it's really not good for you to ingest, is it good for you to be inhaling, putting in your diffuser, or putting in your lotions, or putting on your body? And I would say no. And I've worked with essential oils my whole adult life, really since I was a teenager. And in the last 10 years, as I've been doing this as my work as a healer and an intuitive counselor and a teacher, I've also been creating products that help people on their healing journey. So I have a line of chakra crystal oils, sprays, and I have a line of what I call my nature essence sprays. And each of those sprays has a blend of essential oils in it. And it always mattered to me that I use the highest quality essential oils that I could find and afford as I was making these products. When I was introduced to Young Living, which is now my oil supplier of choice, I was blown away, as you were when we did that experiment, right? And you
Oh,
sniffed the oil you had and the oil that I
it,
had from Young
I mean,
Living.
just to briefly interrupt, but it was incredible. I didn't really know what to expect when you said, you know what, why don't you come over and smell some of the oils that I have on hand? But it was the purity, and you could literally smell and feel the quality of these oils. It was incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And your story is repeated over and over again with people that I introduced to these oils. And it was my own experience as well with them because I believed, and to my credit, I had done my research, and the oils that I was working with at the time were of a very good quality, a very high quality. When I was introduced to these Young Living oils, all of that changed because in my body I could feel the difference
Hmm.
between the peppermint that I had been using and the peppermint that I was introduced to. Like it literally, my whole body just went, whoa, what is that? I want more.
Yeah.
And as I started using these pure medical grade oils in my products, other people started commenting. Clients who'd been using these sprays for the last 10 years were coming back to me and saying, what is different? I already know these oils work. I already know these products work, but there's something more that's happening now. I feel an acceleration of my intention, or my sore throat is gone, or my need to smoke cigarettes is gone.
Hmm.
And it's the same product, but it's a different oil. And it's in seeing other people's responses to the difference between what is truly and transparently an absolutely pure medical grade essential oil and an oil that just does not have the same frequency, vibration, or process of preparation. It that's all the evidence that I need. I look for more evidence than that. I've done lots of research, and the science that's being done around essential oils right now around the world is amazing. So I know it isn't just an anecdotal experience, but it is the anecdotal experience that is the most um, potent when it comes to understanding what you're working with when you're working with essential oils. And in all honesty, right now, there's more lavender essential oil available in the market than there are lavender plants currently on the planet. So that tells you
Yeah.
that there's a lot of adulteration that's going on in the essential oils industry in order to make them cheaper, to make them faster, and to increase the volume of them.
Hmm.
So to go back to that point about ingesting them, yes, it comes from a plant. If you can eat the plant, you can ingest the oil.
Yeah.
However, you do want to be very certain that the oils that you're working with, if you're using them topically, or you're inhaling them through your diffuser, or just on your hands, or you're ingesting them, are absolutely the purest quality. You want to make sure that you're getting your oils from a company that is of the highest standard and integrity and transparency. Otherwise, the claims that people are making about what essential oils can do and the impact that they can have on our health and well-being are become suspect because people end up having allergic reactions, or they get rashes, or they don't have an effect, and then that clouds the person's understanding of what essential oils can do because they've had an experience that doesn't isn't the same as what I'm talking about or what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's also interesting or necessary to point out is that when we look at the back of an essential oil bottle, if there is an ingredient, if let's assume there's an oil that has been adulterated, and there is an ingredient that's part of this essential oil now that is contained in the oil and makes up less than 2% of the overall essential oil, then the company isn't even required to list it on the bottle, meaning that even if you have a bottle of essential oil and you look at the ingredients list and you go, you know, this all looks very good to me, there is a chance that certain amounts of substances are simply not listed because the company is not forced to do so.
Well, that's right. And label regulating between Canada and the US or the UK or other parts of the world it's quite different
Hmm.
from one to the other. So you may be getting an oil that comes from India that's brought into the United States and then gets adulterated, and then it's sold to somebody in Canada, a distributor in Canada, or a company in Canada, who then adds their own things to it to make it go farther and be able to sell it less expensively. By the time it gets to the consumer, it can say 100% pure essential oil on it if 1% of what's in that bottle is 100% pure essential oil. But the rest of it can be just about anything. And it's not just oils that this is happening in. It happens with maple syrup, it happens with honey, it happens with lots of products that we use daily that we may not realize. The reason that we're getting it at such a good price is because we're not actually getting the whole thing that we're hoping for. That honey has corn syrup in it. That maple syrup has corn syrup in it. It has other things in it, sugars and other things like that, that make it go farther so we can buy it for cheaper. But the result is that we end up not getting the things we need for our highest health because we're not buying pure, we're not buying the pure product, right?
Yeah.
The other thing with ingesting that's really important to remember too is that when you're working with a very pure medical grade essential oil, it's potent. There is a lot of plant that has gone into that 15 milliliter bottle of peppermint. So it's not going to be the same as picking a piece of peppermint from your garden and putting it in your teacup and making tea out of it or chewing on it. You need 1 drop, maybe 2, if it's a pure essential oil. If you're using adulterated essential oils, you may need 20 drops just to even get a kick of it, right? So when we talk about ingesting, don't chug it. You're not chugging your bottle of peppermint.
I noticed that I love to make my own sprays. So I just use distilled water and then mix some essential oils into it. Anything from the citrus family in particular, and then just have a very light, very summery, very refreshing spray that I can use. And in the past, I had essential oils from different brands, and I would have to use a lot of drops for 1 sprayer bottle. And then once I started with the Young Living oils, completely different story.
Yeah. And
what I also noticed is because of the work that I do, I always like to look at things from an energetic point of view. And when we look at, if we take the Young Living oils as an example, if we look at the way they are produced and they are 100% pure, energetically speaking, that means they contain such an incredible energy potential that when you're exposed to those oils and you are, somewhat intuitive and familiar with energy and what energy feels like when you're exposed to it, you will feel the difference. You won't just smell the difference, you will literally feel the difference. And that's the incredible thing. That's what really struck me when I first was introduced to the oils through you, and I came over to sniff all the different oils in your collection. It was such a beautiful experience, not just to smell them, but also to feel their energy.
Absolutely. And this is why I think it's so important for anyone who's interested in working with essential oils. And I'd love it if that was everyone. But for those people who are really interested and keen, do that work for yourself. Do that research for yourself. Don't just take it from me or from Max. Find yourself, like whatever oils you're using, if they're not Young Living, and talk to me. I'll give you some samples, or if you know someone else in your life who's working with Young Living oils, and do your own sniff test. Yeah. You remember the whole Pepsi Coke taste test that was big in the 80s and 90s? It's like that. You can put it on the blindfold, and you can pick up the one and pick up the other and give it a sniff. There's another fun energetics that you can do with this, which is to take the bottle of the oil you've been using and the bottle of a Young Living, hold them in your hands, close your eyes, and just let one hand rise over the other with the intention of connecting with the oil that is for your highest good. And just see what happens. And it may be that the hand that's holding the Young Living, it feels like it's rising up energetically. It may be that the other oil is too. And if that's the case, that's fine. That oil may be a very good oil. There are companies that are making very, very good oils. And in that moment, that may be the better oil for you for whatever reason. I would be really interested to hear back from people, though, if they try this, how many end up experiencing that the oil that's for the highest good energetically and physically turns out to be the Young Living oil.
Yeah.
We could add it to our list of science experiments that we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. We'll test the essential oils.
That's right. That'll be next. Once the world returns to some semblance of normal and we can get together in person again.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Well, talking about the potency of oils, I think it would be really fun to go into the different ways that we can help people incorporate these pure oils into their daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can feel very overwhelming, especially if you're new to essential oils altogether, to look at what's available. I mean, Young Living, for example, has, I think, more single oils available than any other company currently producing essential oils. And they also have more blends than any other company. And we're talking in the hundreds. So there is a lot to choose from, and it can feel really overwhelming. And then thinking about all the different ways, whether you're ingesting it or you're putting it on your body or you're diffusing it, that also, it becomes information overload. So let's make it simple. Let's break it down to what are 3 of your favorite essential oils, Max?
Well, as I said before, the citrus family is really what has drawn me in over the years. And at the moment, my absolute favorite is the Young Living oil bergamot.
I love bergamot. I had that in my tea just now, actually.
Yeah, and you know, I think I was drawn in because I generally like it in tea. And then when I saw that you can actually get it as an essential oil too, I was so drawn towards it, and now I use it with distilled water and just have it as a spray, and it is such a beautiful thing to have because it's so refreshing and you're using so little of it, which makes it last. Who knows how long it's going to last me. I mean, I've already had it for quite a while, and I would say that's definitely my ultimate favorite at this point.
Beautiful. Yeah, and bergamot is a very uplifting oil. It's also one of our hormone balancing oils, both for men and women. It's excellent for your skin. It is a citrus oil, and some of the citrus oils you do have to be mindful of when you go out into the sun because they create photosensitivity. So you may be more likely to get a sunburn sooner if you put it on topically. But as long as you're putting it on underneath your clothes or you're spraying it and then let it evaporate and then you go out. So yeah, it's totally fine. And then all the citrus oils are used very much for helping with conditions like ADHD and autism and anxiety. They're excellent oils to use with children because they are so uplifting. And that's the whole group of them. There's in Young Living, we have lemon, we have orange, we have tangerine, we have jade lemon, there's the bergamot. Neroli isn't a citrus, but it is the flower of the orange. There's a whole bunch of them. Susan and I did a whole show on the Essentials Roundtable, which is our new video show that we're doing on essential oils, looking at the citrus oils and how to use them effectively to help with things like anxiety, which is a good thing right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Considering what we're all going through.
More than ever, I would say.
Yes, yeah. So you've just described using it as a spray. That's a beautiful way to do it and super easy. It's just a little spray bottle, glass preferably, and you want it to be a dark glass, not clear, because the clear glass, the sun can have an impact on the constituents in the oils. So you want it to be dark blue or brown is fine. Water, and then you can put a little bit of vodka in. That's what I use as a water stabilizer. It doesn't have a smell that interferes, and it's such a small amount that it's not going to have an effect on you that way. And then your drops of essential oil. And then the big thing is just to make sure you shake it before you use it, because of course oil and water don't mix.
Yeah.
Once you've shaken it, you spray it, you breathe it in, you let it fall on your skin. It's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. So it's super easy. And then we were just talking about having it in our drinks. So what I did this morning is I mixed lavender and bergamot into honey, mixed it all up, and then I put that honey into my Earl Grey tea. So I had an extra boost of the bergamot that's in Earl Grey tea. And then you can also, I've been sipping from my glass of water here, and I don't know if you can see, but there are jasmine flowers in there.
Yeah.
So I have a jasmine plant, and I love putting jasmine flowers in my water because then my water gets infused. And then I have my bottle of rose, which you're going to get soon. Yeah, it's so amazing. And I'm going to put 1 drop of the rose and 1 drop of the jasmine oil that I also have into the water. And then I'm just going to drink it. Just as simple as that.
Yeah.
So you can also do this in your water bottle when you're going out. And right now, especially where there's a lot of, we need to be careful. You can put lemongrass in your water bottle. If you can stand it, you can put a little bit of eucalyptus. That's a sharp oil and a hot oil. It doesn't taste as good, but peppermint is a nice one to add. Lemongrass. Lemongrass is a very big immune boosting oil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an excellent one to have. And you just adjust it to taste. And you want to, again, make sure you shake it because otherwise the first place it'll land is on your lips.
Yeah.
And that can be, you can have it can be a tingle, especially peppermint. So I'm just waiting for my jasmine to drop. Now, jasmine is a thicker oil. And really with this jasmine, this is 100% pure oil. And the number of tons of jasmine flowers that it takes to produce one little tiny bottle of this. Same with the rose, same with blue tansy, with hyssop, a lot of the flower oils, the neroli. It's one of the reasons why they're costly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're buying a rose oil for $24 a bottle, please don't.
Yeah.
Because it's not, just don't.
Yeah.
And I have before, but I won't anymore.
That's something that I recently realized that, with the rose oil, and I'm really excited to be getting mine very, very shortly. I read that 22 pounds, I think, is what makes 5 milliliters of essential rose oil.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to be educated on this because before I got involved with essential oils, I obviously had no idea. I also had no idea how they were really made. And I think that's when people go, oh, $24 for a bottle of essential rose oil is a good price. But once you know the process that is required, once you know how much rose petals are actually required to just make 1 milliliter of rose oil, then you actually can start questioning the different brands that are out there and their pricing, because that should be a red flag right there.
It absolutely should. And I get a lot of protests from people saying, yes, but they cost so much. But they really don't, because when you break down like what you're paying for a 5, like the rose, for example, I mean, let's shock a few people. This is about $300 retail. Now, if you have a Young Living account, you're not paying retail, you're paying wholesale, so you get to save a bit of money on it. But this is an investment. If you're buying a $24 bottle of essential rose oil, you've probably got maybe 5%, 2% of a rose oil of some kind in that bottle, and you're paying $24. So you're paying $24 for 1 drop of rose oil. And then when you look at how many drops are in here, and I had it on the top of my head, and I wish I could remember right now. I think, God, is it 90 or 120 drops in a 5 ml bottle, and then more in a 15 ml bottle? If you do the math,
5 drops is a milliliter.
5 drops is a
20 drops is a milliliter, right?
my sidekick is doing the math now. Anyhow, when you do the math, you find out that actually, if you're spending $24 on that little tiny bit of rose oil, if you invested in a pure rose oil, you would get far more out of that bottle of the pure oil than you ever would out of the bottle of the $24 oil.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe we can post the math later, but suffice to say that it's actually not drop for drop. You're paying more for the $24 bottle of rose oil than you are for the pure bottle of rose oil.
And
that's what I'm trying to say.
It's no different to anything else in life when we look at our health. Everything is an investment. And we need to come to realize that for ourselves. The same with food. A few years ago, I wasn't I wasn't too focused on eating organic. And one of the big problems was I thought organic was so expensive. But nowadays, organic is really all that I eat, all that I purchase. And yes, it is higher priced, but I see it as an investment into my own health. And nowadays, I've really gotten to the point where I wouldn't want to save money and at the same time, or as a result of me saving money, risk an aspect of my health.
That's right. And our health is so important. And with what's happening in the world right now, I feel like a lot of people are coming to that realization, that understanding that not only is their own health really important, because this what we're dealing with right now, it impacts on generally people whose health is compromised in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
If they had been, okay, no, let me be very careful how I say this, because I don't want this to sound like it's a blame thing or anything like that. But when somebody is in really good health and has taken the time over time to take care of themselves, they present a less comfortable landscape for a virus or a bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as simple as that. Viruses and bacteria love sugars. They love fat. They love they love all that stuff. So if a body is in that state, it will be a much happier place for the viruses and the bacteria to settle in on. They like that landscape. If a body doesn't have that going on, the viruses and bacteria are going to go, no thanks. I don't like that landscape. I want to go someplace else where it's easier for me to infiltrate and get in and thrive, because that's what they're trying to do, right? They're just trying to thrive.
Yeah, exactly.
We just happen to be, unfortunately, where they like to do that. So when we are able and empowered to take control over our own health through good eating, through good living, through exercise, like this is not brain surgery. This is fairly straightforward. Through the essential oils, through positive thinking, through mindfulness, all of these things that people have been talking about for decades, they work. They just simply work. And then we're healthier. And so even if we do get hit by something, the duration will be less and our recovery will be faster. And I'm so sorry about that. That's one of our phones going off. So just boogie down to the music.
Yep, just go.
There we go. And this is what live is all about.
Exactly. What life is all about. You know, this is life.
Exactly. Total transparency.
Now, because we were talking about COVID-19 and, as you mentioned too, mindfulness and essential oils and exercise and good food, it's all part of health, and it's really, it needs to be common sense, because that's really what it is at the end of the day. I mean, it's not, as you said, it's not rocket science, it's not brain surgery. And because of the transformative period that we're in at this point, I'm sure that many people out there would be really interested in what are some of maybe the top 3 or top 4 essential oils that are very good to boost the immune system and just help with everything that's going on. So not just looking at the immune system from a physical point of view, but also from a non-physical point of view. So maybe things that also affect anxiety and fear. What would you say are the 3 or 4 best oils for that purpose?
So what's really interesting about all essential oils is that they all have constituents in them that impact different systems in our bodies, and many of them are all about boosting our immune system at the physical level. Your herbal oils, for example, really strong immune boosters. Your lemongrass, like I was describing earlier. Some of the ones that we're very familiar with, peppermint, lemon, lavender, jasmine, all high immunity boosting oils that we can use and incorporate into our food, into our drink, into our daily routine, our baths, our shampoos, all of that. Really easy to use. Any of the tree oils, so we're talking about cypress or cedar or thuya, pine. These are easy get oils. They're inexpensive. The citrus oils, lemon, lime, orange, powerful, powerful immune boosting in our body when we use them. And they're not expensive. In fact, Young Living has 25 oils that are under $25, mostly 15 ml bottles. And that's at wholesale. So these are not expensive. How much do you spend on your pharmaceuticals? How much do you spend on a bottle of Tylenol or a bottle of aspirin? And I'm not saying don't have those available as well. I'm just saying look at what's important in terms of how you want to be helping your immune system. The tree oils, like I said, citrus oils. Oh, and then the flower oils. So Susan and I did a three-parter on our show, Essential Oils, which you can see it through my YouTube channel, which is Megan Edge Healing. You can find all of our shows there, and also in our public oils group, which is called the Essentials Roundtable with Megan Edge and Susan Seal on Facebook. We post our videos there as well. And we did a three-part series looking at the emotional oils. And most of these emotional oils, I would call them also immune boosting oils, because when you're not anxious and worried and stressed, your immune system is happier.
Oh,
right? Our state of mind impacts our immune system 100%.
yeah.
So citrus oils for anxiety, flower oils for dealing with grief. And there are a lot of people right now dealing with a lot of grief. And not only because of people that they may have lost and who've been impacted at the health level, who actually have C19 or have died from C19, but all the other losses that are collateral damage right now. Loss of income, loss of job, loss of opportunity, loss of connection just with other people, not being able to give someone a hug when you see a friend on the street.
Yeah.
That's a loss. So there's a lot of grieving that we're doing right now, and grief impacts on our chest and our lungs, and our lungs are what this particular virus really loves. So if you're feeling loss, you can work with some of these flower oils like the rose, the jasmine, the neroli, the ylang ylang. Oh gosh, there's so many of them. Geranium, bergamot. Well, bergamot's, that's the peel, that's not the flower. But bergamot is another anti-anxiety essential oil. All of that's going to help loosen the grief that you're feeling in your chest. And then, of course, feel the grief. Let it move through you. Don't try to put on a brave face and pretend like everything's okay, because it's not. That's the bottom line. And then for feeling grounded and for feeling solid in our bodies and not disassociating from all of the chaos that's going on. That's where the tree oils are so powerful for that. Think of a tree, think of a big, heavy conifer and think of it sitting in the ground and how it sways when the winds blow, but it's got that solid root base. That's the kind of energy that we get, that we embody when we use the tree oils. Frankincense and myrrh, just like we talked about at the very beginning, two very, very potent immune boosting. So there's so many of them. And what's really brilliant about this time in history is the access that we have to all of this information. If somebody needs the science of all of this, go to PubMed, PubMed. It's a US-based medical research page, I guess, where you can find these scientific experiments that are being done in laboratory as well as human studies, looking at different specific essential oils and constituents of these essential oils and how the impact that they're having and can have on us. Go online. If you're just interested in, if you're interested in the aromatherapy aspect of it and the psychology of it, go online. There's a lot of information there. Not all of it's accurate. So be discerning.
Yeah.
If you come across someone who says, don't ever do this with essential oils, that might be a red flag. Actually, Young Living has a ton of information and resources that you can access. Once you have your account, it's like a smorgasbord. But even just Googling Young Living, go to YouTube. They've got loads of really, really beautiful videos, documentaries that teach you where these oils come from, how they're made, what's special about the Young Living oils in particular, the ways Young Living is giving back, and all the science that Young Living is doing, working with the oils and finding new ways of using these oils. So it's like the sky's the limit. You basically can't go wrong. If you've got lavender, peppermint, and lemon, you're good to go. That trio is actually great for allergies, and we've got a ton of pollen in the air right now. So gosh, I mean, there's so many. I could show you my box of essential. Well, you've seen my box of essential oils. It's pretty much pick one, and what is it? Is it antiviral? Is it antibacterial? Is it antipathogen? Is it an immune booster? There's a really great little book. Where is my copy of it? Right here. This is an awesome little pocket book. I think I gave you a copy of it too.
Yes.
Tons of information in here. And I love a book. I love a good book. I like to sink my teeth into it. All the oils are listed in here. All the blends are listed in here. That's one of the things Young Living has done with their blends, is to create particular groupings of oils that, when grouped together, create a synergetic event that boosts the properties of each of the individual oils. So their thieves oil, that's hugely popular right now. In fact, they're running out of it every day. RC is another one for chest and cold. Purification, that's got lemongrass and ginger in it. Digize for stomach upsets, for anyone who's feeling not great in their tummy, whether it's anxiety based or, you know, some other reason that they're having it. Whew. It's like a marathon of telling you all the all the oils that you can.
And it really shows that there is so much information out there. One thing that I really love about essential oils is they bring us closer to nature. They allow us to reconnect with nature on such a deep level. And, you know, because of everything that's going on at the moment, one thing that I've really noticed is that people all across the world have this very strong desire, this very strong pull towards nature and spending a lot of time in nature. And I think having even just one bottle of one particular essential oil, if you have that at home and you put it in a diffuser or use it in your bath, you ingest it, or you put it in a spray bottle with water, you are exactly a beautiful.
Just in case someone's not sure what a diffuser is. Yeah, this is it. And what you're saying, as you're saying it, I'm thinking, what about those people who are quite literally trapped in apartment buildings and they don't feel safe to go out? Well, the beauty is that Young Living will deliver to your door, and you get your diffuser going, and now you've got nature in your home. You've brought it into your space, and you're breathing it in, and it's working on any pathogens that might be in the air around you, simply by putting a couple of drops and turning it on. This one changes color. Right now it's purple. And I've got 3 of the, well, okay, I have 9 diffusers, but at the moment I have 3 on the go. I've lent a few to friends as well. My neighbors on either side both have one now.
Oh, very sweet.
There's one next to me.
Especially at this point, it's nice to have. It's nice to know someone who has a few diffusers that they can spare. Because as you said, I think if you are undergoing quarantine, meaning you literally have to be at home for two weeks straight, and you can't spend any or much time in nature, then just being exposed to the essential oils can be incredibly healing. And even energetically speaking, just being close to these oils, being close to these products, these essences from nature, the energy is incredible.
It really is. And actually, talking about being in quarantine, and if you can't leave your house and you have pets in your house, do we have time to just quickly touch on pets and essential oils?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got another 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because if you go online, there are, again, a lot of posts that I've seen, even by aromatherapists, who are giving their best information, only it's not 100% accurate information, which is that you should never use essential oils with pets. It's simply not true. If you can use it on yourself, you can use it on your pet. And, you know, think about if you're spraying Lysol in the air, well, who's that hitting, right? That's hitting your pets. Yeah. Stop spraying Lysol. Make your own sprays using your essential oils. I can teach you how. It's really easy. But beyond that, animals respond really well to these pure essential oils that we're talking about. Again, not Walmart, not the supermarket. And in fact, Young Living has created an entire line of veterinary-approved essential oils that are designed specifically for pets, for horses, for dogs, for cats, for hamsters, to help with the kinds of things that they're dealing with. And right now, animals are pretty stressed out. They don't want you home any more than, well, if it's a cat maybe, but you know what I mean. Like their routine's been disrupted as well from this. And so a couple of the really great ways that you can work with animals and essential oils is through the diffuser. Like that just benefits everybody in the house. but also putting the oils on your hands, rubbing your hands together, and then just stroking your dog. If you're doing it with your dog, you can dilute it a little bit. If you're doing it with a cat, because cats groom themselves, you want to make sure that it's quite diluted. And when I say diluted, I mean the pure essential oil in a fractionated coconut oil or jojoba oil or grapeseed oil, some kind of a carrier oil. Um, and that way, when the cat grooms itself, yes, it will get some of the essential oils in its body, which is fine, but it won't get too much. Again, do your research. Find out about how these oils are being used with animals. But there are vets all over the United States that are now using these Young Living oils in their practices with the animals that they're working on. And you can get them. That's this beautiful thing about all these oils. Unlike back in the olden days, when you and I would not have access to these, we do.
Yeah.
We all have access to these. They're easy to have in our household. And you don't have to spend a lot of money, or you can invest more money for some of the oils that are more expensive, but you don't have to. And you've got them. And once you've got them, you're empowered. You're empowered to help your pets. You're empowered to help your family. You're empowered to help your friends by sharing this with them. I just think it's amazing. It's so amazing.
It's truly a beautiful investment that we can all make to our health. And
absolutely,
from my personal experience, they last a very long time. So it's not a short-term investment. It's something that you'll have for quite a while. And even if you just want to give it a try, it's certainly worth a try, and it can do wonders. It really.
I love giving samples to people. I have these super cute little bottles, like they're just wee, and I put a few drops of the oil in that they want to try or that I think they should try with some carrier oil, and it's a little roller bottle, right? So they just roll it on, and I'm happy to send those out to people or drop them off. I'm on Maine, but when we come back into town, I can drop them off for people. I love mentoring people. So if there are people watching who are getting excited and interested in this and want to know more about particularly the oils that I work with, I'm happy to talk to anybody. They just have to reach out to me. I'm easy to find. Megan Edge, Megan Edge Healing on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and let's have the conversation.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that's a beautiful way to wrap it up. So if you are interested, Megan is an amazing resource in terms of essential oils and so much more too. And it's so easy to reach out. There is a ton of information out there. So just know there's no need to be overwhelmed by it, because you have a guide. And your guide is Megan.
And I love being the guide. I love it. It just brings me such joy to be able to help people in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a beautiful thing that we can then share with our family members or friends as well. So something that can really, really spread, not just during this transformative time that we're undergoing right now, but forever.
Absolutely. And once you start working with the oils, you should be forewarned, you will not want to stop.
Exactly. You don't want to stop. It's beautiful. No. It's an incredible journey. Absolutely.
Well, I'm very excited for you to get your rose oil as soon as it arrives.
Me too. And thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of this valuable information, Megan.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad we got to spend some more time together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All the best, and I hope you have a few more lovely days on Main Island.
Thank you. The sun is shining, and I can't wait to get out and get my hands in the dirt, get in the garden.
That sounds good. Get some grounding in.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
You be well and healthy.
Bye.
Bye.